Welcome back to the Heroes Lounge Rare Cup, where we are about to go to our second quarterfinal of the day, which will be between Shoryuken and Mighty Minion Army. Shadow Writer, you were here for game number 1, and you're here once more. How are you doing?
I have returned. I am now a new me. I am not even sleepy anymore. I'm still as excited as I was before our first match today, which was a very interesting series between a Division 6 and Division 7 team. Of course, in the end, it was 2-0, but it was very contested. Now we're going to be going into another Division 6 versus Division 7 match. Shoryuken, like you mentioned, against Mighty Minions Army. Have you seen any of those teams play, Karis? Do you know anything about them?
I'm not super knowledgeable about these teams, to be honest. But it should be an interesting series. I believe actually we already have our map bans in, so let's take a look at those bans that have just come in from these teams. So Mighty Minion Army have banned Sky Temple, and their opponents Shoryuken have banned Towers of Doom. Then Mighty Minion Army have banned Infernal Shrines, and I believe we're going to go to Volskaya Foundry for game number 1, as picked up by Shoryuken.
Yep, we'll be going over to Russia, but this is an interesting mix of bans by Mighty Minion Army. It's Sky Temple, of course, is a map that many players hate, so that was to be expected. And then Infernal Shrines, which is a very, very standard classic map for a Heroes Lounge. How often do we see that ban? Almost rarely, if ever, right, Karis?
It's pretty rare. Usually teams ban it only if they think their opponent's doing particularly well on it, which may be the case here. But of course, these teams have all come through, top 8s in their divisions, and then done well in the groups as well. So obviously they do well on all maps in a sense that they play on. Slightly surprising to see an Infernal Shrines ban there, but again, Volskaya Foundry is fairly common as well. So I'm not too surprised to see Volskaya Foundry picked up for game number 1. I mean, so we've seen one quarterfinal so far today, Shadow Writer, and we should tell viewers, by the way, there is another quarterfinal going on over on our sister channel, twitch.tv/Heroes Lounge 2, where I believe they've got Oopsie Daisy versus Black Heart's Booty Call in just a second. But I mean, what do you think? What do you think the teams need to learn? I mean, these are obviously different teams, but what can the teams that are playing now learn from what they saw in the first series?
Well, presuming they were watching, and I assume they were. I would say Broken Mirror, despite losing the series ultimately in a 2-0 fashion, they really, after the first game, they kept their calm in going into game number 2. There weren't any huge mistakes by them. They executed the timings of their plays very well, and they just stayed on top of their game, so to speak, despite a very unlucky loss, or rather, should we say, a very skillful play by their opponents. And if we reverse that, what have we learned from a German team that we saw playing in the first finals game? It was go Anna and go Li Ming and get resets and maybe a mosh pit and you win games. Also, Valo and Battlefield of Immortality, pretty good.
Yeah, I think that there was really a lot of different draft ideas we saw in that first series. We're just getting set up for the teams in Volskaya Foundry just a second. I mean, I agree. I think the draft was quite important in that first series, and I think Volskaya Foundry is less draft dependent than Battlefield of Eternity, so we won't see that much draft dependence here. But I mean, it should be interesting. I think there's lots of different ways they could play it. I mean, if you were them, what would you be thinking right now, Shadow?
Right, so like you said, Volskaya Foundry very much so an open map in terms of how you want to draft for it. I tend to like big power spikes for the objectives, so stuff like Alex Straza in terms of healer choices. Of course, Deckard will be very good with all those potions on the point, and that's for the healers. ETC, predominant as always. Is there a bad map for ETC, Karis? Because I can't think of one.
Not really. I think that's why we've seen ETC being consistently so prioritized, is because he's kind of an all-round. He fits in every situation in a sense. And there may be other tanks who specialize more in certain situations, but ETC's never he's never the wrong pick, and he's never really getting shut down so easily. And that's what we saw that actually in games number 1 and 2. That's why that was prioritized so much by Forhomendera. So I think we will see that kind of prioritization on similar tanks, etc. Joanna. I'd love to see more on Ubrak. We talked about how strong he is in Division 6 and 7, really high win rate hero. And it will allow a bit more aggression. We might see a Diablo here on Volskaya Foundry as well. Although, of course, we saw that banned in our earlier series.
Right, yeah.
So the tank meta might be subtly different here, but ultimately it depends. So we'll have to see what...
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I mean, I would love to see a return for the Gazda, which got picked in our last game, of course, on Battlefield of Immortality, and a lot stronger here on Volskaya, of course, as that point control is more important. And of course, there's no pesky Immortal destroying your turrets, which is always a good thing if you're a Gazda player. I would also love to see a Chromie. Have we seen any bans on Chromie in the earlier games? I don't think Chromie got banned or picked whatsoever. It was all leaming through and through.
Yeah, I think we have seen. I don't think we've seen Chromie banned. No, so I think we may see that prioritized.
I mean, it's certainly an option. I mean, what else do you have in terms of mages that's good on like around points? Of course, there's Orphea. We've seen a fair amount of Orphea throughout launch games. What else have we seen? Kael'thas, although I haven't seen Kael'thas as much recently as...
That's interesting, Shadow. You mentioned Kael'thas because traditionally, Kael'thas has been really prioritized by the Division 6 and 7 teams in all previous launch seasons going back to 8 BC. But actually, season 13, we saw a bit of a drop-off in Kael'thas' popularity, and that's because Chromie jumped up in popularity so much this season. We'll have to see, of course, what happens as we go into the draft in game number 1 in this best-of-3 quarter-final. And it is going to be Mighty Minion Army with the first ban on the right. So, yes, I mean... yes, Chromie. I think Chromie may well get banned or picked here by one of these teams, rather than Kael'thas.
It's interesting. I always say, like, just spectating games. It tells me a lot about team strategy just from what they want to ban first, and it is. I think it's going to show a lot what kind of game Mighty Minions want to play on Volskaya Foundry, depending on what they ban. Of course, they could just go for if they've studied their opponents, which I presume they have. They've made it all the way to the final, so a bit of homework is a given. They might just target specific extra very comfortable picks for Shoryuken. Shoryuken. I need to get the pronunciation of those teams right. Jesus Christ. Oh, here's the mouth there. Oh. Huh.
That's interesting because, as far as I know, Shoryuken they've played Malthael a bit, right? I think 5 times 60% win rate. That's decent, but they've got a lot of picks that they prioritize higher. I wonder if that means that there's a certain tank or possibly a certain two-headed ogre that maybe Mighty Minion Army might be leaning into here. I'd be surprised if they whip out the Cho'Gall this early. So I think it might be more that they're going for a Deathwing, but so far, those are very interesting offlaner bands that are coming out from Mighty Minion Army. Sonya, again, something that is picked in a lot in the offlane for Shoryuken, but it's not super effective compared to some of the other picks they've got. So, slightly surprising bands here. Jaina in response because she is prioritized by Mighty Minion Army. By a top TPS.
The bans for Shoryuken do make a lot of sense when you put it in perspective in terms of the 4-man rotation. Jaina, of course, one of the best tanks to lead a 4-man rotation, has a lot of extra wave clear to bring to the table. Jaina, of course, one of the best mages at clearing waves. Just press W and then just walk out, and that's you've got the minion wave. So I think Shoryuken might be going for a 4-man rotation domination. And this is an Imperious pick here for Mighty Minions, immediately answered by a Garrosh. Okay. Things are spicing up, Garrus.
Yeah, is this Imperious main tank or is this Imperious offlane? We've yet to see, but that's a lovely little... Look at that, Garrosh Uther. Oh, that's nasty. Cool. If you get thrown in, you're dead, because there's going to be a Hammer of Justice on your head, possibly a Divine Storm to follow. The problem is, from Uther's perspective, he doesn't provide much in the way of sustain heals. What we might, and that's something Garrosh can struggle with, is sustain poke. If Garrosh has to sit far back, there's a lot of zoning that comes out from Mighty Minion Army, and they just got a Lunara or a Gul'dan or something, just poking away at Garrosh.
But this could also be a solo lane Uther, so there's that as well. And the Diablo gets picked, so Malthael ban kind of makes sense now.
Yes, absolutely, because you've got that Imperious offlane, Diablo frontline. The problem is, I would say, of all the tanks I was expecting, of all the picks I was saying, might punish that Garrosh Uther setup, and we were talking about Lunara or disengaged tanks like ETC were still open. Diablo is kind of the opposite, in that Diablo wants to go in, and when he does go in, he's going to get CC'd to death by Garrosh Uther. That's going to be a very tough game for Huntfunk here for the Mighty Minion Army.
And the Anduin ban is brilliant. Like, if you think about it, Garrosh throws someone in, the best counter to that is just Leap of Faith from Anduin. And I don't think Decade is an option anymore for Mighty Minion. Of course, it's still open. They could pick him, but he doesn't have access to cleanse. And against the Garrosh and Uther with Anduin off the table, you really do need a healer with a cleanse, because medallions, they're only up like every 300 seconds or so. And if the crowd control chain is quick enough, you won't even get a chance to use that. So I'm expecting to see a Rhaegar here, perhaps. What else with cleanses left open? I mean,
yeah, you could see the Rhaegar with the Anduin band. I think that's the actual choice. You could see a Brightwing potentially, and it'll all be about the execution then. Because the moment, I think one of the things with Garrosh throwing somebody is it gives a very juicy target for Brightwing to Zed onto. But here you see the Anachromy, and that's a solid draft as well. The grenade will deny a lot of Uther potential. And of course, the Chromie, we talked about the value of Chromie. She's been so dominant throughout all the divisions of Heroes Lounge this season.
Oh, it is Uther solo heal with the Kerrigan picked up.
So but look at that level of CC. Like, Anna's just going to die here if Kerrigan chooses to run at her, because Diablo's not going to provide enough peel. And if Diablo goes in, maybe Diablo's the one dying as well. Like, they're not going to be afraid of that. So I have to say, I'm really scared here for the side of Mighty Minion Army. I think this draft seems to favor their opponent's Shoryuken.
Yeah, I think the only minions have drafted themselves into a bit of a corner, and it's not necessarily one of the worst corners there ever has been. Because think about it. Let's say there's a 5 versus 5 situation, and Garrosh throws someone. What is the best response from minions? They can't really save the target, so to speak. I mean, Anna can keep the target alive for a little bit, but the best thing for minions to do in almost any situation will be to engage once Garrosh finds a pick and just look to out-damage and out-trade their opponents.
Yep. Well, we'll have to see what happens as we go into game number 1 in this best of 3 quarterfinal. And on the left, in blue, we have, of course, Shoryuken with Kaulo Rapano on Sylvanas, Vash on Uther, Black Knight on Garrosh, Marinero on Kerrigan, and Bannock on Leoric.
Going up against Andre, give it up in chat for Team Mighty Minion Army with Skrat on Chromie. I love this name. Runefunk on Diablo, Boba Fett on Cassia, Merlin on Anna. I don't know how the hell I pronounced that. And last but not least, we've got Imperious picked up by Omnichashu. Close enough, guys. Close enough.
Close enough indeed. And straight away, we can see these level 1 talents that have come in from the team. So Sylvanas for that stacking. Yeah, it's a lot of quests, exactly. Stacking from Sylvanas, stacking from Uther, stacking from Garrosh. And that, of course, Chromie has not gone for the stacking. She's gone for the Time Walker's Pursuit.
So the interesting thing about this, and of course Sylvanas' quest is unending, I believe. It doesn't have a cap. And Volskaya games can go into a super late game, in which, of course, in that situation, Sylvanas will be having a field day with all of our stacks. But it also might be a very short game, because the objectives are very predictable and teams can soften up the structures for the next objective lane very early in the game. For the time being, not much happening on the map. Both teams looking to take their respective turrets. Imperious, Leoric trading a little bit of damage on the bottom lane, but that's about it.
I think with 4 members committing to this turret camp on the side of Mighty Minion Army, they might miss a touch of XP in that top lane. Because I don't think Diablo is going to be there in time. Chromie is running there as fast as her magic carpet will carry her. But yeah, a couple
4
of minions of
minions,
XP.
yeah.
Not the whole wave though, so it's not the end of the world. But just touches them a little bit down on that XP so far. Nothing to worry about though, as they are still early in this game. And still
Exactly, but if they lose the Chromie, that would be worrisome. There is a rotation top. Garage is looking for it, but Kerrigan already went for the soft camp in the top left part of the map. So all in all, Chromie walks out of there safe, never knowing how close she came to actually being in danger there.
Yeah, I think one of the advantages of Time Walker's pursuit for Chromie here is she's going to use it to cool down, to get some vision of that. Of course, once she does that, she doesn't then have it to. She doesn't potentially have it later other times because it's got 25-second cooldown. Garage stepping up though, looking for Diablo. Gets a little stunned. Diablo will be okay for now, especially because Uther is fairly far back. He can't put a stun on Diablo. They're fine for now.
In the meantime, Kerrigan clearing out that top left camp, but not quite capping it, delaying it for maximum value, and already recalling to grab some extra HP and mana for that objective point on the bottom. And the red team just now making the rotation towards their own soft camp, of course. The blue one's already prepared, which lets them look for a support camp play. Very strategic play here from Shoryuken. I love it, Karis.
Yeah, beautiful mind games here from Shoryuken. They understood exactly what their opponents were doing and when. And I love to see that calculation that goes in. Beautifully smart here from Shoryuken. And of course, as you say, picks themselves up a healing item, but also more than that, an extra few hundred XP from that camp as well. So just touching themselves towards level 7 a little bit sooner than their opponents. And that means they will also then have control for this beacon, which is already at 20%. And I don't know when exactly MMA are going to get a chance to contest this.
Yeah, it's not the best position here for a red team, but one thing they've been doing well so far is keeping Sylvanas away from stacking. Of course, after level 7, after she picks Festering Wounds, the stacking is going to become a lot easier for her, but every time you play stacking Sylvanas, it feels good to pick up a few stacks in the early game, and she hasn't been able to do any of that so far. Talking about stacks, Kerrigan actually pretty low on her own stacks so far because she's been clearing camps.
Yeah, same for Uther as well, because Uther's got 0 stacks on his level 1.
Oh.
Look at this invade though, Shadow. Mighty Minion army smelling that Kerrigan was in the top. Go immediately to invade this turret, and there are 5 here. So Garrosh may get punished if he comes in a little bit too hot. Cassie is there.
The healing item. Oh no, Garrosh, you used it. Use it or lose it. He does use it. He survives for the time being. He will walk out.
Yeah, and actually there's still a fight going on here because Kerrigan is looking to flank, but there's a lovely impale from Imperius, catches onto Garrosh, catches onto Uther as well, and they're both dead for it. Nice little punishment there. And of course, that's the danger, is if you commit too many resources looking for the flank to contest that turret, then you may get punished. And not only have they lost 2 people, they used their healing item and their turret and the medallion on Garrosh.
So, was there a blue turret going down in that fight, Karis? Can you confirm that for me? Yes, indeed, it did go down. So, doing the maths, there was 2 red turrets expended to get a blue turret, a blue healing item, and 2 kills. So I would say for minions, this is a very good trade. And talking about good trade, Imperius junking down Lorik, sleep from mana, hitting 2 people. Diablo looking for that engage onto Kerrigan, who's now in no man's land, waiting for a cooldown to reset, but suddenly Diablo's in danger on the point. The Chromie damage, is it enough to secure a kill? Marinero still staying alive through the whole of that and picking up the kill on the Diablo. It's a 1-for-1 trade, however, as Kerrigan falls to the Chromie sniper, and the blue health bars are looking very raw. The shish kebab from Imperius comes through, but the Garrosh throw is there. Zone away. Who is going to die? It's
not Imperius, I'll tell you that. Wow, what a play from Imperius. So there's a bunch of factors that's happened in this fight. So one is Imperius got free real estate because so many resources were committed to control and kill the Diablo. Yes, they got the Diablo, but he went down. So then Imperius had a bit of free real estate. But then also is the sustain value of Chromie and Cassia versus Uther. And Anna was just providing so much sustained heal that Uther couldn't really keep up with. And we just saw those blue health bars creep down and down and down. And of course, that's why the blue team prioritized that healing camp earlier on, because they felt it was so important. But unfortunately, they'd lost that in the turret fight earlier. And the final factor is, of course, Chromie had her level 10 because they were level 8 at the start of that fight. Chromie had her slowing sands, and that really stopped Uther and Garrosh from moving about. And I don't think Uther was really prepared for that. Now though, Diablo's got to be prepared for this. That's a Kerrigan combo into a Garrosh combo, and he's absolutely getting torn to pieces. Shield comes out for the protector, but it won't save him. But he presses the Apox. Maybe they catch Kerrigan. Oh, Anna's the only DPS out there though, and then maybe she's not enough. But
it's enough.
The gun comes out.
It's enough as far as it goes. It's enough. It's a bit of protected damage and some mana damage, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. Kerrigan versus Diablo, but heroics in for both teams now, and just looking at what's left here for the blue team, these two have Entomb, which of course Lorik, however, is on the bottom lane, so no access to Entomb. Imperius with the bush play, looking for Shish Kebab and Garrosh, who survives and now looks for a counter throw. The Nano Breeze has gone down on Chromie, but the minions are blocking her. Of course, Piercing Sands not out on the board quite yet. It's a bit early in the game for that OP time, but the snipe is there anyways. Bye-bye, Garrosh.
With the snipes. They ruined my joke because I was going to say, would you say that Shoryuken was saved by that mighty minion army in the way? But but no, they weren't. They weren't even saved by those minions because, of course, Chromie with a snipe, Scrap playing absolutely out of his mind here. Then, of course, they're going to use this straight away to invade this turret camp yet again. Although Garrosh is respawning now, so there is a chance to test, but that slowing sand is so good at zoning.
Yep, and Yorik's on the top lane, and Mighty Minion's army, they have vision of that, so that turret is theirs. Once again, going over to the red team, and they seem to like their turrets, Karis, and I don't blame them. Turrets are good.
Turrets are good. Big, heavy weapons to slap in the enemy's face. So they are now going to get another turret, as you say, get themselves as well very close to 13, but Shoryuken can sniff that out. They're going to go for that healing camp. We talked about the value of that sustained heal, but Diablo knows he wants to come and contest. Garrosh throws it away. There's the Entomb trying to shut out Anna and Chromie, but they're pretty happy behind there, just throwing out volleys. Diablo goes in. The coin's not consoled though. He needs to use his turret, shooting this before he dives. Uses the turret. There's the Valkyrie. Pulls back the Yorick. There's the Wailing Arrow though. Catches onto 4. Maybe they're going to turn this around. Imperius skewers in. Catches onto Yorick. He's just trying to guide the myths, but Garrosh is already dead. So is Uther. Uther's providing the ghost healing for now. He's about to fade. Kerrigan's still in there. Catching onto Anna. Marinero goes down though, and it is a win overall for the Mighty Minion army.
Yep, Garrosh got isolated in the bottom, got a very good taunt with his last dying breath onto 3 people. Anna, Chromie, and I believe someone else on the north side of the end team got taunted as well. But in the end, he just died, and after that, it was a very hard fight for the blue team, who ultimately, they did get the camp, they got the experience and the item, but they had to expend it and still lost the fight. So overall, very good fight here by Mighty Minion's army, sitting at a 1.5 almost levels lead, and of course Chromie already ahead of Talent once again.
Yep, and this is looking very nice here for Mighty Minion army so far. Everything according to plan, to quote a hero I've forgotten. But Diablo now waiting in the bush. He's got to be careful because Garrosh throws him into that.
Garrosh walks in there, and the slowing sounds come from Chromie, and suddenly the disengage throw is there. The Nano Boost went off a bit premature, perhaps. I think blue team is safe here. The only thing you can get out of that Nano Boost is a little bit damage on the fort at best. If that, Diablo, very aggressive position here around that fort, but
I've got mad respect for this Diablo because of the confidence to walk up to Garrosh, knowing that Anna and Chromie are behind supporting. There's so much faith in his teammates, because when you're a Diablo against the Garrosh and Uther, it's terrifying, right? You don't want to be walking up, but because of the slowing sands and the Chromie time traps and the Anna sleeps and all of that, it's providing enough. Lyra comes in, wants that Entomb, catches onto Chromie. There's the sleep those from Anna to try and create a bit of space. The Apox to counter engage, but the Taunt though stops the Diablo combo. Chromie might not be able to escape. She's gone down.
Scrat almost walked out of that fight, but despite the timeout, he did go down, and now it's blue team mopping up. Diablo goes down. Lyric calls for a trade, but that's trade value, and Boba Fett will go down in the follow-up. Marin also in a very dangerous position. Anna, no escape mechanisms there, and it's 4-4-1, of course, 4-4-0.5, I'd say, as that Lyric is already halfway there.
Yeah, he is indeed living on a prayer. So it's beautiful from Shoryuken. That's what we like to see, is that kind of flanking. When they get that flanking and aggression, when they can dive onto Chromie or Anna, that's when Shoryuken are going to win that fight. If, on the other hand, there's tight point control and Mighty Minion Army have the positional advantage, then it becomes very difficult for Shoryuken to walk in because of the slowing sands and the constant barrage that's coming out from Scrat. But That's what we saw. This is absolutely the right decision making from Shoryuken, and that's got themselves well and truly back into this game, neck and neck now on the talents. They don't have any medallions though, whereas
they'll be
only
neck and
Cassia
neck in
has.
talents when they pick the last year 16 talents.
Yes, that's true. Uther and Garrosh still not
Garrosh.
picked those level 16 talents. We're just waiting to see what they will get. They're probably having some kind of discussion about that and the synergy they might find. I mean, well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what they do go for. But obviously, everyone else has picked level 16. So you've got the Will of the Forsaken from Sylvanas to try and stop herself from being hit by that Apocalypse, or of course by the Slowing Sands as well, or the Valkyrie. Then you've got Painful Spikes from the Kerrigan to get a bit more damage. And the Royal Focus, the full E build here from Leoric, going to try and reduce Chromie's damage just by spooky walking all over her. And that may be the secret to their success, or when they get to level 20, the silencing and
Yeah, another 5 versus 5 brewing on top, but the blue team, they have 2 turrets. The Diablo engage is on point, finding that damage onto Vosh, who will use his ultimate to counter engage there and live. Benediction comes through in the backline, Leoric entombing Boba Fett, pulling damage away, but Diablo goes down in the middle of the fight, and suddenly red team health bars are going down. This is the type of 5 versus 5 the blue team loves. Lots of melee, lots of people in another people's faces, and that's a 3-0.
Yeah, and again, it's because Kerrigan and Leoric got the right to flank, because Diablo went for that APOC engage onto Uther with Imperius to follow. Nice little CC chain, but when Chromie's got Leoric, and by the way, Diablo catches Leoric there in the mid, so that's a very nice little play there with the help of Chromie. That secures themselves 10 souls, which Diablo desperately needed, of course. The Kerrigan.
You know what he also needs? He needs a medallion right now, and he does have it, but it's a bit late. Will he get to walk out? He will, but he's been forced to tap. So half HP Diablo for the time being, and the Punisher pushing down middle lane. I would expect this Punisher to rotate bottom in preparation for the 3rd objective phase on the map. And indeed, we do see that rotation very well thought out here by Uther, who's driving this Protector.
Yeah, I mean the challenge for the Mighty Minion army right now is, how can they stop Kerrigan and Leoric from flanking? Kerrigan, maybe they can threaten her a bit. Leoric doesn't really care if Diablo and Imperius are running away. He's got his Wraith Walk. He can just go in and create trouble, threaten to entomb. And that's one of the advantages of Leoric. And I'm not entirely sure that Mighty Minion Army have the answers to that yet. I guess they may play a bit more passively in fights and try and just punish Kerrigan or Garrosh if they come in even. But right now, it's definitely Leoric who's creating the plays. There's the Valkyrie.
Here's a great start. The Valkyrie coming from what's her name again? Cassia. There it is. Almost getting the Sylvanas, but whoa, the Forsaken getting value in the end as she walks out of there. Sylvanas, that is, and no one dies. And level 20 very close for the team in blue Shoryuken.
Yes. So this is the time when the red team need to force a fight. They can't be waiting to do camps and stuff, because that level 20 will come in. And right now, bear in mind, there is a level 20 advantage in a sense for Mighty Minion Army. So if they fight now, they've got a bit of an advantage. If they fight 20 seconds from now, they're going to have a massive disadvantage. So it looks like they're choosing to try to just play slow, go for that 20. So they'll have to give up their bottom fort, though. That's going to be some point control advantage for the next objective, though. So it's a little bit tough now for Mighty Minion Army with this level deficit. They will be able to get the 20 before the objective is done, though. So
will they, though? If the blue team rotates stop right now, they can catch their enemies, and that's an overextension for that fort. And I've been guilty of it myself. Garrosh leading that rotation. The rest of the team showing on mid minions. Red team, you need to retreat right now. You are in no man's land under a fort without winning. This is brewing up to be a very nasty fight for the Reds if they can't get out in time.
Diablo looks very, very, very exposed here, but Kerrigan's not interested in Diablo. She's interested in going in onto Cassia. Leoric there with the Entomb, catches onto 2, but the Divine Storm is absolutely savage, catches onto 3 members. Chromie just running around in circles, trying to avoid getting Kerrigan. She does go down eventually, but maybe Uther will be the next to fall. He gets CC, he does go down, but he doesn't have the level 20 resurrection. So now it's 2 for 1 though, but it's going to be Diablo as well. It's 3 for 1. It's going to be 4. It might even be 5 here if Leoric can slow Cassia enough. I think it's going to be an absolute car crash here for MMA. As you say, Shadow, they just overextended in that top lane, and Shoryuken so quick to punish it.
Yep, lightning fast reflexes there from Shoryuken, doing exactly what they needed to, and getting the reward for it. 4 members down on the enemy team, healing item for them. Top fort is still alive, and that the next objective hasn't even spawned yet.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
All in a day's
the
work.
advantage for that is, in a sense, the whole of Mighty Minion Army will resurrect, and they will get level 20 in time, so long as Cassia does not get caught here by Garrosh. Boba Fett, gotta be careful there. But they will get the level 20 in time, and that actually will be very, very significant. How they choose to play that, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, we didn't take a look too much at the level 20 talents of their opponents. So Shoryuken with that Divine Hurricane.
How did the Socialist end up on top lane and Kerrigan on bottom? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
At the moment, it's okay, but level 20s are in now for Mighty Minion Army as we take a quick pause. So let's go back to our beautiful faces. But,
Ooh.
I mean, Shadow, what do Mighty Minion Army have to do right now?
It was a bit easier for them in the early game, but of course the map was a lot more closed off, and Chromie was getting a lot more value with the zoning, and of course the flanks were more the opportunities for flanks for Kerrigan and Garrosh were more limited. Now it's a very different game in the late phases here on Volskaya Foundry. It's 3 forts down. I'm not sure. Like the only thing I feel like Mighty Minion Army can look for at this point and hope for is to get a pick, which is not exactly easily done against the burst heal that Uther provides.
Yeah, and it's the divine hurricane as well was so important because they're doing a good job of engaging on Uther, but even if he dies, as he did in that last fight, by the way, even if he dies, he's usually getting everything off before he dies, and then he's got his ghost heal. So like he's throwing out massive CC that's just letting Kerrigan then have free real estate. I'm not entirely sure how they should answer it.
If anything, I think the Chromie has been the best damage dealer for Mighty Minion Army. She needs to be protected at all costs, I believe, and paying a bit of extra attention to where the Chromie is, and of course making sure there's always a bruiser or a tank next to her to peel, or at least create threat for anyone that goes after her. I think that's a good way to start.
Yeah, level 20s are not picked yet because of the pause for Mighty Minion Army, but they have picked Lord of Terror on Diablo. I think he's feeling like he's getting engaged on, but also don't forget it is percentage damage, so that will go through the armor that Uther's giving to his teammates, and maybe that, and of course on Garrosh as well. That's very impactful. So they may be looking to punish some of that with that Lord of Terror burst heal and damage. We are going back into the game though. Here in game number 1 in this best of 3, we're 17 minutes in, and yeah, those level 20 talents are coming in. Cassie with the Titan's Revenge, so she does not. She's going to cut through Garrosh and again through that Uther armor as well. Lovely pickup there from Cassia. But here's the fight. There's a absolute massive APOC, but the taunt onto Diablo. There's a silencing Entomb. Catches onto Chromie. She can't put out the damage. Divine Hurricane to follow. Catches onto Diablo. He's down already. Now this 4v5 situation. Imperius got to start getting out of there. Can he get out of there safely? Lurik's there with the slows onto Chromie. Yes, they will escape for now, but they have lost a member.
Yep, Diablo falling down was very unfortunate. He did protect the Chromie with his life, so respect for that. It was a very unfortunate fact that Chromie caught in that Entomb, and shout out to Lyric. Catching her as that was a silencing Entomb, of course, very important to shut down any damage from Chromie and basically annihilate any threat from the red team in that engage. As it was a 4 versus 3, I think there was a chance had Chromie been out of that Entomb for a counter pick.
Yeah, but it's, as you say, exactly. The challenge is, I think basically Lurik's done such a good job of slowing down the Chromie damage. And what we saw early game before Lyric got that 13-16 Wraithwalk combo, that actually Chromie was putting out serious amounts of sustain. Now in the late game, Chromie's having trouble. If we take a look at the hero damage stats, you'll see that Chromie's only on 57.5k. Yes, of course, that's more than anyone else in the game, but often you see a Chromie with more than that. But it's Lyric who's stopping her from doing anything with his Wraithwalk, and of course, with this silencing Entomb. So, what can they do?
Protector has been picked up, 2 levels ahead advantage for the blue team, and they're looking for a fight. Anna gets Entombed at the backline, but Chromie is safe for the time being. Sylvanas, oh my god, Anna going down, and Sylvanas out of the fight. The ult from Uther gets a lot of value. Chromie goes down, and I think the blue team has won the team fight, if not the game.
Yeah, I mean, they're chasing forward. That's a lot of terror value. Will secure the kill onto Lyric. And of course, there's only Garrosh and the Protector, so it's not doing that much damage just now. And they may be able to punish Uther here. Look at this work that Imperius and Diablo are doing, absolutely causing devastation. Cassia doesn't really care about the Kerrigan in the same way that Chromie does. The Kerrigan might be in trouble here. She's not been allowed into the Protector. Diablo turns her over to the authorities, and they've given her some very intense interrogation indeed. And now the Protector's on its own. This is a massive turnaround here from Mighty Minion Army. They're going. They might be able to punish Garrosh as well, Shadow.
Yeah, he committed for that keep, but in the end his commitment wavered. He didn't get the keep. He's going to die as well. Oh, brilliant use of Indomitable there, preventing the Diablo engage. Ultralisk is there to peel and body block. No, Ultralisk does no body block. Today we learned. Okay, interesting.
No, but he can provide a bit of CC there to stall it. And look, they're just chasing the Ultralisk, and he's like, no, I'm hiding over here. Look at his bait here from the Ultralisk.
He's running, dude. Look at him go.
What a legend this Ultralisk is. Oh my god, he's in the end. They will kill it. They will kill the end.
No, he's alive. He's alive. He's back.
I'm back. Oh my god. But the thing is, they just got killed, and they're spending their time chasing Ultralisk. I think we might think it's the player Ultralisk, the pro player, but it's actually just an Ultralisk. And maybe they should have got the healing item instead, but they have punished the Ultralisk, so that's good for now. Beautiful.
No, it goes through again. I'm just waiting for Cassia to... oh, she doesn't have Ball of Lightning. I was just waiting for Cassia to anger oath him, but... no, he's just chasing Cassia all the way to the team fight at this point.
They are going to fight over this, but Cassia is not quite here yet. Diablo goes on the point, gets knocked away. He has his turret available. Is he going to use it? There's the Apoc combo. Hits onto 2. Chromie's staying well and truly clear of the Lyric and the Kerrigan. She's got the nano boost. She's throwing out the damage. Anna will go down very soon to that Kerrigan, but Chromie's getting free real estate. No, Lyric comes for her, catches her. Now it's 3 dead already. Nobody dead on the blue side. Mighty Minion Army are falling pretty fast. Cassia's next. Diablo's 1v5ing now, but I don't think even Runfunk can manage that against that devastating team. And Shoryuken are going to win game number 1 here. Surely now, Shadow.
Well, I called it last time it went really terrible for the blue team. I think this time it's safe to say that they're winning the game. I mean, Ultralisk is getting value, right? So there we go. That's the Shoryuken mash onto the red core. 4 members of the red team dead. Diablo desperately trying to save top keep, so at least he has his honor intact. Oh, he's changed his mind. He's trying to defend the core now, but it's a little bit too late. It's an impossible job.
Yeah,
how goes the Winter ultimate?
Going in there to it is GG. Well played to Shoryuken, who have won game number 1 in this best of 3 quarterfinal. So that was that's the opening game, and you have to say that was
what
very
a game. Yeah, it was close, especially the early game was dominated by a Mighty Minion Army. Absolutely no question about that. It's just the later the game progressed and the more open the map became, the flanks became available for our team in blue. And Chromie and Anna ultimately suffered because of that.
Yeah. I think there wasn't really any peel available because Diablo and Imperius want to dive in, and that left Chromie and Anna very, very vulnerable, in particular to Lyric, actually. I was expecting Kerrigan to put more pressure, but it was Lyric who kind of controlled the Anna and Chromie a bit more, with those entombs being absolutely devastating. One fact we have to talk about, though, Sylvanas, Kaolo Rapano, kind of the unsung hero of that game, because she was kind of quietly doing damage all game, and when we saw, like, Valkyries used on her, the Unstoppable, the Will of the Forsaken value. Sylvanas did not die in this game, Shadow Writer. 0 deaths for Sylvanas.
Oh, yes.
76,000 hero damage done. Absolutely incredible play. So shout out to Kaolo Rapano for an incredible performance and just providing constant pressure when the space was created by Lyric, Kerrigan, and Uther, and Garrosh. So that was game number 1 in this best of 3. We will the teams are just going to take a little bit of a break, but while they sort out some tech issues and have a bit of a breather after that game number 1. So we'll wait to see what they pick for in terms of first pick versus map pick. I mean, Shadow, what do you think MMA could have done differently here? Because as you said, they had a really good early game start there with that Chromie potential. I believe we've lost Shadow, so I'm going to carry on talking as though as though he was here. Yeah, so I think one thing I think they needed in response to that Garrosh, Kerrigan, Uther is a tank who's a bit more kind of defensive, maybe can stop them, maybe like an ATC instead of Diablo. Now, we saw Diablo get huge value with that APOC, those APOC engages, and Imperius was great at following those up as well. And Imperius getting so much value again and again in those fights, but it was ultimately not, they weren't able to ultimately stop Kerrigan and Leoric running at the backline. And of course, the Divine Hurricanes from Uther, absolutely devastating. Still, that is just game number one, and I think we will see something slightly different coming in from Mighty Minion Army in game number two, but we're just waiting to see what they go for in terms of map pick or first pick, because they will have choice as the losers of game number one. You'll have choice of map pick or first pick, and we'll see what happens there. So you're watching the Heroes Lounge Rare Cup. This is the second quarterfinal that we're showing today. We've got the first semi-final will come up after this. We've had some results in, I think, from our channel 2, which is covering some of the other quarterfinals. When I see those results, I'm going to tell you. They are that Chill Af Heroes have beaten Suezy in their quarterfinal. So they will be going up against Forum and Erre in the first semi-final on this channel as soon as this series is done. So we're going to finish this quarterfinal between Shoryuken and Mighty Minion Army, and then we will head to the first of our semi-finals in as soon as this series is done. So we are still early on in today's proceedings. Back to what's going to happen between Shoryuken and Mighty Minion Army. I mean, it's tough to say. I think the Leoric was hugely important. So I think either what they should have done is have a different tank to provide a bit more appeal instead of Diablo, or ban that Leoric. You know, we saw the Malthael ban fairly early on from Mighty Minion Army, but you know, the Leoric actually, I felt, gave more value than a Malthael would have done. Obviously, Malthael is a threat, and actually we saw the value of Malthael in our first quarterfinal earlier on today. So we will we'll see what happens with those teams. So I'm still just waiting to see if these teams are choosing first pick or map pick. They are helpfully sorting out. Shadow will be back in a couple of minutes as well. We've just heard. So it won't just be me. For those of you who've tuned in just for Shadow Writer, you'll be rewarded with him soon-ish, in maybe a couple of minutes. You're watching Heroes Lounge Rare Cup, as I say, but tomorrow we have the Heroes Lounge Epic Cup, where the teams from Divisions 4 and 5 will go head-to-head in a knockout tournament very similar to this. That'll be kicking off at the same time as this did today, so 1300 CET. And next weekend, on Saturday, the something of December, we will have the Heroes Lounge Legendary Cup. The top teams from Divisions 2 and 3, they'll go head-to-head in a round of 8 knockout tournament similar to this. And then finally on Sunday, the 6th of December, we'll have the Heroes Lounge Mythic Championship. The top 8 teams from Division 1, some of those with really big names, so some of the top players in Europe will go in our double elimination Mythic Championship. So you can catch all of that on this channel in this weekend and next weekend, so plenty to look forward to. And of course, you can find out more about upcoming casts and stuff on the website, heroeslounge.gg, or join the Discord, type !Discord to get more info on that. I believe we are getting some info from the teams momentarily. Yes, we are going to Dragonshire for game number 2, as picked up by Mighty Minion Army. So if we take a look at the map bans, we can see how we've ended up on Dragonshire. So Mighty Minion Army banned Sky Temple, Shoryuken banned Tomb of the Spider Queen, Towers of Doom was banned by Shoryuken as well, and Infernal Shrines by Mighty Minion Army. Of course, we went to Volskaya for game number 1 and Dragonshire for game number 2. So we are going to go to Dragonshire soon-ish. We're just waiting for the players to get set up. I think Dragonshire is going to have a different feel to Volskaya Foundry. It's less brawly and more solo lane dependent. So we may even see a Leoric ban early on because of his potential to double soak and his good control of the solo lane. I suspect maybe not, and we'll see something more like a Rexar ban or even an Irel. But the Malthael again could be a threat. Leoric could be a threat. There's lots of different ways they can go with that. But in the bottom lane, I think we'll see a traditional 4. We might see a Falstad or a Genji or something like that for extra rotational pressure. And I'm told that we will have some kind of betting available once we actually go into the draft this time. Sadly, we weren't able to bet points in the last draft, but you will be able to bet on the draft once it kicks off in game number 2 in just a few moments. So we're just going to get that underway in a couple of minutes. Dragonshire still has a lot of interesting avenues to explore. Interestingly, Shoryuken have never played it in the division stage of the division stage of season 13. So that might be a potential thing they're unprepared for, and that might be why Mighty Minion Army have thus chosen it. Mighty Minion Army have played it 3 times this season with a 67% win rate. So we're expecting them to know what to do here on Dragonshire. We're expecting a solid pickup from them and a solid strategy as well. So we will see what happens there from them. I mean, in terms of heroes, again, the solo lane is going to be important, how they choose that. But I don't know what they will pivot to. They do. I mean, the thing is, Mighty Minion Army have got a very strong win rate on Thrall, so they could potentially pick up Thrall either in the solo lane or, controversially, in the 4-man rotation. Actually, but Thrall does get banned against them a lot. But it is fundamentally their strongest hero. So we will see. So we'll see if they go for that either in the solo lane, as I say, or in the rotation. I believe they normally play it in the solo, but I could be mistaken. If somebody in the chat thinks I'm wrong about that, then do tell me. But I will be ready to stand corrected. So it does the I think there's a few different ways they might play it. I think we will see a ban on Uther in coming out from Mighty Minion Army because he was so crucial in terms of the CC for Shoryuken in game number 1. I don't think they're that worried about the Kerrigan. I think the Uther and the Leoric actually gave them more issues than the Kerrigan, truth be told, in that game. We are still, I believe we may even have Shadow Rider back.
I think I am back, Karis.
Welcome back. How was your holiday?
Very good. Thank you. I ran to the basement, turned the power back on, then run back up, then run back down, turn it back on again for the second time, and then here I am.
Welcome. So yes, we were just talking in your absence about the draft on Dragonshire and how it's going to be a bit more pivoted towards that solo lane. Mm-hmm. Shadow, what are your thoughts on what we'll see here on Dragonshire?
Well, one thing that we could see very well on Dragonshire, either in the banning phase or picked up, is Rexar controlling that solo lane. Very important and a very strong pick as far as controlling the objective as well on the solo lane goes. So I would expect to see some of that either as a ban or as a pick for either of the teams. Of course, we could also have some global presence, like we saw in game number 1, in match number 1. The hacker could be a thing for the global presence. Of course, Forstad is more prominent on the map itself, just because the hacker's not. He doesn't exactly win solo lanes, and he can't exactly hold the point against his enemies, can he?
No, it depends. It depends a bit on who his opponent is and what build he goes and stuff like that. But yeah, you're more picking Dahaka for the threat of the 5v4 with the global. And I think it's not even just about actually using it, it's about the threat and how that makes your opponent's position, because they live in the fear that Dahaka will suddenly, if they're fighting at the bottom shrine, they don't know whether Dahaka is just going to appear and ruin their lives. And that is something that just changes the way that they have to play in that bot lane in the 4v4 if you have that Dahaka. So we may well see that prioritization on the Dahaka. As you say, not really too much to win the point, but to threaten that. There's the Thrall ban, of course, because as we were talking about while we were not here, Shadow, that MMA, very strong win rate on Thrall.
Well, talking about bans, I wonder if we're going to see any of the last matches, not last matches, excuse me, last games, strongest heroes being banned, and instead it's Maltho again. So Kerrigan being ignored this time around. No surprise there, I guess. Not a very good map for a Kerrigan.
Yeah, I think that's. I'd be surprised to see a Kerrigan ban. I'd like to see an Uther ban or a Leoric ban.
What about a Garrosh ban?
Garrosh, yeah, true. He controls the magic triangle.
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle of heroes.
Yeah, the Bermuda. Dreams. Well, if Garrosh is in there, it really will be the Bermuda.
Yeah, it
Triangle. Is. Particularly if you go for Diablo main tank again, as we saw, they've got a strong win rate on that Diablo. It's got great Diablo plays, definitely from Runfunk, but Garrosh can really punish that, particularly in the Bermuda Triangle, as you say. So there's the Garrosh ban that we talked about. It does leave open the Uther potential.
It's insta-lock Jan. I love it, Garrosh. Do you want to talk about the Jan, or should I?
I think you should talk about it because you love it.
Okay, so Janna, I've been going on about how great Janna is for leading 4-man rotations, and of course 4-man rotations just as important on Dragonshire's on almost any other 3-lane map besides Curse Hollow, I guess, or the Planty map. But it doesn't matter. Janna, great hero, lots of interrupt, lots of crowd control, lots of peel, lots of engagement opportunities, has AoE damage, has minion damage. What's not to like about Janna? Of course, answered by Gazlo. So there's the solo laner pick, I assume. This is not a Gazlo 4-man, is it, Karis?
I don't think so. I would be surprised if it was a Gazlo 4-man. It could be, though. Well, one way you can play this map, actually, which we didn't really mention, is the 1-1-3. And Gazlo is the perfect hero for sitting in that mid lane and just controlling the mid. And then he can rotate to bottom or top, probably to bottom, to force something. And if with a bit of turrets slowing rotations and stuff, there's potential there for Gazlo to actually just control the whole center of the map, in a sense, without doing without committing to anything. In a sense, if you like Gazlo turrets, if you're a chess player, Shadow, as I know you are, Gazlo turrets are a bit like pawns in the center of the board, and it just kind of stops
I do like pushing pawns.
The opponent's pieces moving around a little bit. But here we've got the Anduin and Imperius pickup. So Imperius is going to be in the off lane. I suspect Marinero is expecting to be against Gazlo. I mean, you could, by the way, put Imperius in the 4 as well and just have like very aggressive dive.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, it was the Kerrigan player Marinero here who's on the
Imperius.
On the Imperius. That would suggest that kind of more brawly, aggressive style. Who knows how they'll play it though?
Yeah, but the Anduin, of course, after level 10 gets Light Bomb, and with an Imperius and a Janna in your team, Light Bomb becomes a very scary tool indeed. Lots of crowd control, lots of engagement opportunities for you and your team to dictate the pace of the game. But here's the Diablo and a Sonya, which Sonic got banned out last time around, and this time it gets through the draft and it is being picked up. So perhaps a comfortable pick for Minion's army there.
Yeah, and what that means, of course, is the Gazlo is going in the 4, or as I said, maybe in the solo mid for the 1-1-3. But again, that'll be Gazlo potentially rotating to bot when needed. And again, it is Imperius. So look at this. I love this kind of double bruiser setup from both of these teams. The Leoric there for that top lane against the Sonya. Of course, Leoric has a potential to double soak, which Sonya, yes, she can, but she won't do it as fast as Leoric. And that means that they may try just having Leoric double soaking and putting loads of pressure on that bot lane with the Imperius, with the Kael'thas, with potentially the Light Bomb Imperius, as you said, at level 10, or even, dare I say it, Light Bomb Falling Sword.
And that's the rounding of the draft, of course, getting providing some range DPS for our team on the right side. But Karis, who do you think won the draft overall?
Overall, I would say the draft seems to be slightly on the side of Mighty Minion Army, but both of these teams have got great drafts for the map. I'm a big believer in both of these drafts. But if you want to bet virtual points on who you think will win game number 2 in this best of 3 series, you can type !bet space A and number of points to bet on Shoryuken, or !bet space B and a number to bet on Mighty Minion Army. So get those bets in just now. I'm going to be betting my points on B here, Shadow, and I see you bet on A.
I put some points on Shoryuken. I love the Leoric countering the Diablo, and I love the Imperius in the 4-man rotation. So I think they not only stand a chance, but they're likely to win.
Yeah, well, we'll see as we go into game number 2 in this best of 3 quarterfinal. And in the blue corner, hoping to clean it out with a 2-0 and take themselves into that semi-final, we have, of course, Shoryuken with Leoric, played by Banak, Carlo Rapano on the Kael'thas, Black Knight on Joanna, Marinero on Imperius, and Vash on Anduin.
Going up against it, right? Give it up in chat for our underdogs. Currently 1 down in this best of 3 series. It's Mighty Minion Army with Skrat on Tassadar. I love this name. Omnishashi on Sonya, Merlin on Brywing, Rungfang on that Diablo once again making a return, and of course Boba Fett on the Gazo. And we already have a 5 versus 5 bro on mid.
Yeah, and we do indeed, and it's taking
4 stacks for Tassadar.
Yes, there's a lot of stacks coming out for Tassadar. Diablo's taking a fair amount of damage, and lovely polymorph there stops Imperius from the
skewer.
The
Shishkebab comes through. There's 30 armor from Brywing. Is that enough to keep Diablo alive? It is. He will walk out. Very good save from Merlin there.
We've straight away got to talk about that Bribewing, because this is Bribewing, by the way. This is not Zed. Now that's very interesting to me, because lovely gravity lapse here stops Diablo coming in. Gazlo's got to be careful, that's Zed, because the Bribewing Zed with the level 1 talent is so good at healing those big frontliners, Diablo, Sonya, Gazlo as well, because of that extra percentage damage. Look at this invade though here from Runfunk. Goes straight onto Marinero. They want to take it. They want to take it right now, but potentially 4v4, because everyone from the blue team is converging.
Yeah, Leoric's a bit slow on the rotation, but you will get in the backline of the enemy teams. Imperius already out of mana, however, Diablo engages, finds the Q on him, but Imperius will get out, and the bomb is getting spread. Krat very low. Banakia can afford to look for some extra damage, as he's, of course, Leoric. He's not afraid to do that, and in the end, the invasion has not been successful, and blue team have secured their own siege camp.
Yeah, so that, I think it was a slightly confident invade there, because of course, as you said, the Kael'thas living bomb is perfect for those chokes. I think what they thought was Gazlo is perfect for these chokes, because we've got these bombs, the turrets, they've got the turrets and stuff like that. But ultimately, the Kael'thas gets there, and puts a lot of flame strikes, a lot of living bombs, and that's why, of course, Kael'thas is so dominant in Division 6 and 7, or was for many seasons. They can get potentially a lot of value in those close choke fights.
And level 4 coming through, and just looking at Bribewing's talent, it seems like it's going to be a Q spec complementing that Bribewing on level 1. So after 16, I know it's ways off, but Bribewing will get access to a silence or extra card control. Joanna in the bottom lane 1 versus 3 has to be a little bit careful as the blue team makes an early rotation for the Bruiser camp.
Yeah, I think the game plan of Mighty Minion Army is to depend on the bribe from Brightwing to get some of that value. I have to say, I'm still slightly surprised. I mean, yes, look, this Q build with bribe is going to be nice for sustained damage, for the slows, for the silence, as you say, at 16, and of course those bribes to get some camps. But
do Shoryuken know about his Bruiser camp at the bottom? I don't think they
do. I don't think they do. And Diablo is doing the perfect job of creating space. If he can get out, that is. Bribing has that available.
I don't think he's getting out, though. That's the problem.
I'm surprised we didn't see a phase shift there from Bribing, because it was available. It was not on cooldown. So Marilyn obviously does not want to go into that kind of skewer of Imperius, but after the skewer had come out, maybe that was the time. But they were a bit obviously cautious because of the danger of getting boxed and just turning one kill into two. That's one of the difficulties, of course, when you play Brightwing. And it's another reason I was slightly expecting to see a phase shift. That's a wall, though, on Shoryuken in the mid lane. Maybe they can punish. No, Wraith Walk to save it. Yeah, it's another reason maybe I was expecting to see more of a phase shift style build from Brightwing, because then you get that shield for yourself as well at level 7. And that's obviously helps Brightwing survive a bit more, or be a bit more confident to Zed into trouble.
I'm talking about a phase shift. Here comes to the bottom lane, and Sonya is body blocked all the way around from everyone. That's the walls come through. Selfmans, however, goes down on Black Knight, and he will walk out. I think that was more of a misplay by the Minion's army, not being able to secure that kill, but they will not give up quite yet. There is on the point. Imperius looking for a counter engage, still low on mana, but Diablo's low in health, and he will have to give up that point. In the meantime, on top lane, Sonya trying to maintain control of the top point against Shoryuken. Not an easy thing to do.
It isn't, but she is flirting with him suitably. Gazla, though, maybe getting picked in the mid. That's a lovely skewer from Imperius. Boba Fett's got to be careful about giving that living bomb to Tastar as well. Nicely sidesteps there. So they will be able to survive. Diablo, in the meantime, scaring Joanna off the bottom point, but hasn't actually claimed the point for himself, meaning it's still open to being picked up.
Imperius is channeling Boba Fett there to interrupt.
The laser on the interrupt, but of course there's no.
But he might be able for this, yeah, with his life. Brightwing is coming in to heal him, and I think Boba Fett will just about walk out. The immediate bomb onto the Brightwing.
Yeah, beautiful phase shift there from Brightwing. Did keep that alive. But the thing is now, Diablo versus Joanna, that's a fight that will go on for 40,000 years. No, Joanna actually has had to retreat a little bit, because Diablo was doing a lot of damage actually to her. But so he has decapped the bottom, so there's no longer a threat. But Diablo's got to get out of there, because Imperius is coming looking for him. Runthunk, you're staying a long time here, buddy. In comes the Imperius skewer, catches onto Diablo. Gazlo might be there for a bomb, but Diablo is falling so low to that living bomb. Will get away. And for now, Runthunk is alive, but there's no phase shift available.
It's a bit early to go back in the lane, Runthunk. What are you doing? You are a bit overextended, and Lin not having the Zed off cooldown to help there to save him. Diablo will go back to base, losing his souls. He's of course already respawned. 4-second cooldown death timer. That might be enough to stall the Dragon Knight for the time being, but he is a lot easier to kill right now.
Yeah, it was a good effort from Runthunk. I think they were just really keen to stop the blue team getting space again, because once they have these lasers up and running to control that dragon, the shrines up and running, it does make it very difficult for the red team to move out on the map. So that's why Diablo was so keen to get in there and stop them from getting free real estate. But of course, as you pointed out, that did cost him his life, and more importantly perhaps his souls, down to 8 souls now, Diablo. So going to be a lot more tender, a lot less able to skirmish with Imperius in particular. And by the way, Pyroblast coming out from Kael'thas at level 10.
Yeah, interesting choice. I mean, Dragon Knight has been picked up by Lorik in the middle, and it seems like he's just going to push his own lane top. He's not interested in any of that team stuff. He just wants to win his own lane, you know, and respect.
There's an instant Pyroblast value, by the way, so having mentioned the Pyroblast, immediately got value, got the kill with Dazzler. So,
Counter curse.
Yeah, and he got killed. I think later on, when the teams are 5v5, it won't be so impactful, because Brightwing is going to get level 13, is going to get an extra 25 spell armor, so that'll be 55 spell armor. And let me tell you, a Pyroblast into 55 spell armor does nothing. I mean,
it's not pleasant.
Nothing, but it's I don't think the Pyroblast, if Brightwing can respond with the spell armor, will be an issue. So watch out for Kaolo Rapano to kind of psych out the spell armor from Brightwing, or with a living bomb or flame strike, and then throw the pyro, knowing that the spell armor is on cooldown. That's the game plan here from Kaolo Rapano. That's their thinking behind that. But the fight may be kicking off long before then, as they may look for a brawl in the mid.
Well, let me bring one thing to your attention, Karas. So far, despite Mighty Minion Army being on the back foot in this game, they haven't found themselves a kill yet, but they haven't lost the fort, which they might very well do on top in a minute, but I don't think they will. Tastar has been stacking very well, which Tastar is the main damage dealer late game. Oh!
The Apoc, though, catches onto Joanna and Anduin, but there's the light bomb. The grab bomb, though, catches onto 2. Can they finish off Vash on the Anduin? He's walking away, but the skewer from Imperius catches onto the Sonya, and Diablo's zones them completely out. There's the Entomb they've been put in the box.
Oh, the wall!
Comes out. Look at the living bomb value, Shadow Rider.
That's massive value from the living bomb. I mean, Lorik goes down, but that was almost a disaster from the red team. The Tastar wall was the two-edged knife, so to speak, putting Leoric in a very dangerous position. But it was also it kind of put a bit of a choke point there on his own team, getting that extra value for the Kel'Thas in return. And talking about Kel'Thas value, he manages to land the combo on one flank, and Diablo has to back out. Leoric has got passive value, and Sonya now in a lot of trouble. Tasta turns around to stack. Is that going to be enough for him to get out? Yeah, he is. He will get out. And no one died there in Mighty Minion's army, but that was...
that is crucial, because all the meantime, Gazlo was double soaking bottom mid.
Oh, yeah.
So all of this game plan at the top lane has been space creation by Mighty Minion army. That's quite a nice little strategic play from them.
And the camp goes over.
Yeah, but Gazlo's stolen the siege camp in the bot and has been soaking in the bot lane all the time. If we take a look at the XP numbers, in fact, you'll see, yes, Gazlo's soaked less than Sonya, but it's not much less, actually, 7.1k so far, and that's, comparable to Sonya, at least, and similar to Leoric as well. Now, though, they engage onto Diablo. That's a lot of CC. Good night, Diablo. You're going to bed. No, maybe saved by the Imperial. No, that will finish the
Not
job.
for long.
Isn't going to create enough space there, and Diablo goes down. So, nice little aggression there from the Shoryuken, knowing as they did that...
Yeah, blue team getting back into the game, re-establishing their dominance, and Pyroblast will get... Oh, 55. There it is. Level 13 in for Brywing. Lovely play. Pixie Power coming into play. And now it's blue team who are on the retreat. Bash under a lot of pressure by Sonya will go down. And this is... well, Diablo did go down... When did he go down?
He went down at the start of the... he was the pick from the...
right. Yeah,
that massive CC chain. But of course, they used all their CC to catch him. And now when he comes back into this fight, they don't have that light bomb. They don't have that Blessed Shield for 5 more seconds.
But do they have the Dragon Knight?
Maybe they have the Dragon Knight. That's the Epoch, though. Onto Joanna. She presses the Iron Skin. She's still alive. The Iron Skin's gone down, though. Will Gazlo be next to fall? Gazlo's still surviving, though, with the Blink heal. That's massive saves from Brightwing. She's doing incredible work here, Marilyn. Maybe they can catch on to Imperius. The door's been shut. Pull him back in front of that wall. No, they couldn't quite get the charge in time before the thing faded. There's the grab bomb.
Oh, I think Kel'Thas is in that grab bomb.
In the middle of a fight. So we are quickly going to go back to our beautiful faces. But, I mean... so much is happening in this game, Shadow Writer. So it feels like the fights are leaning more towards Shoryuken when they have their combos, because they have a lot of like light bomb CC. They've got the entombs that have been absolutely massive, setting up Kel'Thas for damage. But we have some good. We have some good like Brywing plays that have really been saving people and allowing the top ups and then Diablo to re-engage and stuff like that. But also, crucially, the strategic play has been really nice here from Mighty Minion Army, having that Gazlo double soaking, getting some camp pressure in the bot lane, stuff like that, and in the top. But again, ultimately, if they can't win the fights, they can't turn this into a victory just yet. But we'll of course see.
Yeah, I mean, it's what was I going with my thought process? I forget. I'm old for this. Anyway, so what was I going to say? Yeah, right. So Taster is stacking. He's not top damage yet. He's contested by Sonya, but Taster is quickly stacking. He will be done by the time they hit level 20. And of course, there is a Twilight Archon. They're on the board for Taster as an option. So as long as the red team, I think, as long as they can survive into the late game and not lose too many structures, it should be good for them. Of course, there is a Dragon Knight picked up currently on the mid by Leoric, and as long as the blue team don't lose too many heroes on the bottom lane, which I think they might end up losing Kel'Thas, they should be good to go into the later stages of the game. Of course, the Dragon Knight will get the mid fort. That much is a given, but will he get much more than that? That is the question.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be interesting to see, because of course it is still in the middle of a fight in the bot lane when we resume the game, and the grab bomb was about to hit on somebody. And of course, Joanna on about 10 health, 300.
She's out of there, man.
If she gets away, that's absolutely massive. But we will see. I think we're just waiting for confirmation in a second so we are going to head in just a second back into game number 2 in this best of 3 quarterfinal. Yeah, I mean, absolutely right about the Dragon Knight Shadow. it will get the mid fort for free, and it's the question of how quickly can Mighty Minion Army then go and respond to it after the fight that they're currently in. It looks like probably they're going to be winning this fight when we get back into the game. But I mean,
it's a good positioning for Mighty Minion Army, because where does this Dragon Knight go after mid? They need it would probably go bottom, because that's the lower HP fort, and Son is already on top. So it will be facing 4 people, and if it goes top, of course, Sonya has great one-on-one damage, so she can put a decent amount of Demagios onto that fort.
Yeah, absolutely, and so we are, I think, about to head back into the game. We are heading back into the game.
There's the countdown,
and we are back in the game immediately.
Keltas alive. Self-cleanse goes through, mana barrier. Black Knight actually goes back in. What a lad. Diablo in a lot of trouble. Tanking towers.
On Runfunk might die. No, the
Brightwing
heal. Oh, okay. Fair play to Marilyn on this Brightwing. You know, I was questioning the Z choice, the lack of Z at level 1, but Marilyn on this Brightwing delivering value again and again. The Blink heal in particular massive. The dust ruining Kael'thas's damage so much here. Really nice play from Brightwing, and it did keep a Runfunk alive. And of course, it's Imperius and Kael'thas who died in that skirmish. Of course, the Dragon Knight's still going on in the top lane.
Yeah, but Sonya is doing the same job. She's getting a fort. She's completely ignoring the Dragon Knight. If she survives and gets a fort, which I don't think she will get the fort, but she survives, and that fort is pretty much dead. Dragon Knight has confirmed 2 structures, but the red team will have an option to get top fort after they clean that Dragon Knight. They have talent here advantage for the time being. Gauss is still soaking. Lorik will get out of there with his spooky ghost, I presume. Yeah, Black Knight there to escort him out to safety. Another stack for Tasta, and he's starting to hurt with that Thermal Lance on level 16 and 190 stacks. He will be done with his quest very soon, and after that, Lorik, Imperius, all that front line together with Joanna, they're going to be getting chunked by Tasta every time he presses that Q button.
Gazlo in the bot lane, there's the skewer, there's the slow, but in comes the Apocalypse, but Imperius dodges it with his ultimate. Lovely little escape there from Imperius, but the door's been shut onto Marinero. Look at
how is Boba Fett alive? No, he does go down.
The flame strike.
Then the Entomb is there with the together with the living bomb from Keltas, enough to turn the tide of that fight, I think.
Yeah, they're chasing her here. Sonya's starting to spin to win. Might be able to stay alive. No, not for long. Yeah, I mean, that kind of choke point fight with the Kael'thas is perfect. You know, it's perfect for Kael'thas. Yes, okay, Brightwing had the silences and stuff, and that was good. Lovely from Marinero and the Imperius to dodge both the Apocalypse and the Gravel Bomb with his heroic. Lovely little cheeky play there. I think when we get to level 20 for Brightwing, the AoE spell dust might be able to change those fights, but of course then you'll also have the silencing and tomb from Leoric, and it's not clear which of those advantages will be bigger. Yeah. But potentially, like if there'd been AoE spell armor there, that's potentially a different fight, because it's all coming from that Kael'thas flame strikey choke point action, and the Imperius just getting a lot of work done as well. In fact, if we take a look at the hero damage numbers, we can see that Kael'thas there with 41,000. And Leoric next highest on their team with 38,000, but Tastar likewise on the opposing team with 41,000 as well. So it really is the bruisers who are making a little bit of a difference in terms of overall damage numbers for Shoryuken.
And camps have been picked up by both teams. New objective round spawns. Leoric already on top, ready to confirm that and clean the top lane to preserve that top fort. Along with it, he's actually preserving his team's experience leaders. Shoryuken 1 level ahead comfortably against their opponents, ever so closer to that important level 20 tier. And Diablo goes in. There's the Anduin.
Yes, grab bomb to follow, catches onto Imperius. Anduin's already been destroyed. There's the silence from Brightwing. Absolutely crucial here from Marilyn. Stops Imperius from doing any ultimate shenanigans to save himself. Now Diablo puts Joanne in the wall, tries to body block into the corner. Black Knight's in a wall. The first Tastar comes out with the damage. There's the polymorph to follow. Back into the wall again from Runfunk. Bang, slam. The Lord of Terror has found the wall, and he secures the kill onto Joanna. Lovely play there from everyone on the side of Mighty Minion Army. But they're not done here. Yet. They're going in Shadow.
Yeah, Runfang looking for more in the for the Keltas behind, but he doesn't get him. But hey, you know, the fort is still dead, so creating space. And it was a lovely play in the midst of that. Runfang using Tasta's wall for a pin. That was very cute indeed. And it is an auto attack Diablo build, so he's healing himself just fine during the majority of the fight. Entomb comes out. What a disgusting Entomb. Lyric will survive, I think. Ooh, 100 HP.
Oh!
Yes.
Brywing nearly turned that into a kill because the first two was so spot on to get the silence on Lyric. And by the way, that stopped Lyric getting value on Tomb, but couldn't quite get in range to secure the follow-up Q onto the Lyric to get the kill. Only 100 HP remains, but that's more.
Of course, yeah. Diablo's in the Dragon Eye, and he's walking around looking for value. He's already secured. Well, mid fort is not down yet, but top and bottom are, and he's looking at a keep on the bottom lane. Perhaps not ready to find it just yet. Goes for a kick. Will find that despite the wall still being there. And those are 3 towers now. 3 Rio Estate. Level 20, however, in for Shoryuken first, and they may be looking to punish the enemy's offensive position.
Yeah, but that's why Brywing is in the top right now, trying to soak. Has the phase shift available and will be able to join the fight as she is doing right now. But obviously they don't want to fight before this 16 arrives. Brywing is there. There's the silencing Entomb. Catches onto Sonya. Catches onto one of it. There's the ground bomb. Gazlo's still alive, maybe for a few more seconds. There's the level 20 though, comes in. Gazlo is still alive with 55 spell armor. Massive play from Brywing to keep Boba Fett alive, and Lyric is the first to fall. Now the Joanna's flirting with Gazlo. There's the polymorph though. Gazlo's been kept alive miraculously by Marilyn. On my days here, they're going to turn this around. They're going to catch on to Kael'thas. The save from Anduin isn't in time. It's 4 kills for nothing, Shadow.
Yeah, Twilight Archon absolutely getting value right there. I mean, the Entomb was great, but in the end, it wasn't good enough as we had the Hush come into the middle of that Entomb, getting some counter crowd control, and it was just everyone in that Entomb was silenced, not just the people that were Entombed, but also the people that were trying to kill the people that were Entombed. And in the meantime, Scratch is just standing in the back, pewing away with his Twilight Archon, Protoss OP, please nerf, but this could be a core carrot.
Yeah, it could well be, and I think they are going all the way. I mean, what's Anduin going to do about it? Lyric is back up there, reduces everyone's damage. That's absolutely crucial from Lyric to buy a little bit of time. Has the silencing Entomb, but he needs to choose who to put it on very carefully. Maybe he can get it on task. Not going to be in time. It is on Sonya. There's the grab bomb to secure the kill on Anduin, but it doesn't matter because it's GG anyway. Well played to mighty Minion Army. Incredible stuff, Shadow.
Yeah, that was... Oh, what a game. That was back and forth action the whole game, and there was never a clear winner. You called it at the beginning. The draft for Mighty Minion Army did prove to be the better one in the end, as getting that a longer game value with Tassadar. And despite the controversial, I would say, Brightwing bribe pick on level 1, it did come through in the end. That pick with the 55 spell armor.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not just about the talent picks of the spell armor, but also the way Brybing played this game. Absolutely sensational from Marilyn to save Gazlo in that final fight. So many resources were committed onto Boba Fett. And by the way, Brybing slam picked the AoE spell dust in the middle of that fight to get more value because they got the level 20, as that fight was kicking off. So really, really nice play to save Gazlo there by Brybing. Absolutely incredible. And we love to see that kind of play from Brybing.
Indeed, so it's
that shut down a lot of Kael'thas' damage. Shadow, we appear to have lost your face, maybe, but I think
I think we have fixed it right now. And
okay,
my face notwithstanding, we're going to be going to game number 3. So Minion's Army, they have equalized it, and I've lost my points, but I'm not mad. We're going to game number 3, so I am thoroughly happy that we get some more action here.
Yeah, should be interesting. Of course, as the losers of game 2, it means that Shoryuken have the choice of map pick or first pick for game number 3. They've chosen to go for map, and they've gone for Alterac Pass, Shadow. And that's very different from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, talk about going for a macro map, and if there was potential to see global presence heroes on Dragonshire with the Brywing and what have you, now it doubled the hack of All-Star. Suddenly all of that becomes great. Vikings, Abathur, it's just Christmas for fun picks. It's Christmas, guys.
It's absolutely it is going to be Christmas. It's a white Christmas here on Alterac Pass. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think there's lots of different ways that it can be played, but I expect to see a lot of macro ideas in the draft. Maybe it's Dahaka. Maybe we're looking at Vikings, even something like that. So yeah, should be very interesting. So well, I mean, I think we've got to see some macro focus bans when we get into the Alterac Pass. But I mean, just to review on game number 2 a bit, I mean, it kind of felt like Shoryuken had a really strong fight and engage for a lot of that game. But then, what was it that ultimately shut them down? Was it the Brightwing with the 55 spell armor, or was it the kind of hard engage potential of Diablo?
I think it was definitely a mixture of two. I mean, the Brightwing spell armor did nullify a lot of that Kyota's damage that had been the primary source of threat for Minion's army for the majority of the game. And of course, couple that together with the Diablo offensive plays there at the end, it was very powerful. One thing not to forget, though, I've been mentioning this, but I'm gonna mention it again, the amount of value that Tasta got from that Twilight Archon, just staying in the back and dealing AoE damage, hitting like a hammer every single basic attack. Whew, that hurt.
Yeah, it's should be. I think that's something that Shoryuken have to be thinking about in game number 3, the decider. Of course, the winner of this game number 3 will go through to the semi-final against either Oopsie Daisy or Blackheart's Booty Call. So we will see. We will see what happens there. I think we're still waiting on a result from our sister channel over on Lounge 2 to see who's going to win that series and enter the second semi-final against the winner of this one. But we do know who's going to be in the first semi-final, which will come up straight away after the series. That's going to be Vorhumund Erha versus Chill AF Heroes. Chill AF. Chill as friends, I assume, is what.
And we saw the Germans got their way through their first opponents. I mean, there was some hard and tough times for them, but overall they're looking pretty strong, Karis. And I'm sure they'll be coming up with some momentum into their next game, into the next phase of the finals. But I believe for the time being, we're almost ready to head into the draft on Alterac Pass.
Yes, I believe we are almost ready to go in. Yeah, I mean, I think it should be interesting. And we are going into the draft, as you say, in game number 3. So, bans. What do we think? Macro bans?
Yes, macro bans, please. Let me see some of those macro bans. Of course, I'd love to see something funky like a Vikings play, but not likely. At least I'm hoping an Abathur, you know? At least an Abathur.
Yeah. Potentially Abathur, potentially Dehaka. We've seen. Well, I've said many times today that Dehaka is one of the strongest heroes statistically in Division 6 and 7. You know, with something like 60-70% win rate. You know, in a fair few games. So you've got to be thinking about that. Also, Ragnaros is very popular on this map for the lava wave and also the molten core to shut down the cavalry should your opponents ever win it. So we may see something like Rag or Dehaka coming out even fairly early in this draft. Garrosh, though, they don't want to play against that Garrosh again because he was so impactful in game number 1.
And I think Shoryuken this time banning out the Joanna instead of opting for her, which is fair enough. They lacked the first pick option and they've shown that they prefer the Joanna. So perhaps they're a little bit scared of her, making the choice to get rid of her. There's a Gazlo going out of the draft as well. So lots of global presence open. Postad the Hacker, your usual suspects, you name it, Abbott the Vikings, the crazy stuff still on the board. But I am slightly favoring more standard picks for MMA here.
Yeah, I think everything. They could just play what they know. I mean, I like the idea of the Gazlo ban, by the way, because it was important for them. So, excuse me. So I think but that does leave that Thrall open, and we talked about, didn't we?
Yeah, how
high the win rate is for Thrall on the side of MMA, and how much value they got from him. 72% win rate over 11 games, banned against them 9 times. So
the statistics do favor him. Yeah, I mean, it's not a great map for a Diablo pick, so the throw makes sense as a priority. And the counter to that, pick your own Orc, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm almost surprised we didn't see the Uther coming out from Shoryuken here, because of course their Uther is their magic ingredient. But here's a Brightwing again. Once again, I'd be surprised to see Bribe. I'm not. The thing is, ultimately, the Bribing got a huge amount of value last game, but I don't think the bribe itself actually.
No,
was
definitely
a part
not
of
the.
that. I don't think she did many kind of huge bribes. So it may see more of a kind of phase shift approach here from Brightwing.
Especially with the Diablo coupled together. I mean, once again, if there's a tank that Brightwing loves, it's definitely Diablo with that amazing health pool. Jaina being banned out, so another comfortable hero for Team in Red going off the chat. But it's a Kerrigan bounce, and we saw Kerrigan in game number 1, didn't we, Karis?
Yeah, and that was quite important, but I would have preferred to see a Lyric ban or a macro ban coming out from MMA there. Kerrigan, yes, she was very good in game number 1, but I think with the polymorph from Brightwing, you could even go Emerald Wind and just say, look, you're not coming anywhere near us, Kerrigan.
Here's that Immortal Sylvanas once again.
Yeah, that for me was more impactful in game number 1 than the Kerrigan. So Kaolo Rapano, I think that Sylvanas is going to be a very devastating force that the MMA have to be scared of. But they pick up Reyna and the Orphea to finish off. It is Thrall in the offlane. So nothing too global. Obviously, they've got Brightwing, who has a global, but typically you don't want to use her so much as an offlane soaker like you do with a hacker.
Yeah.
Because often when the fight kicks off, you want to throw that spell armor or a blink out immediately because there's some trouble, or a cleanse, because of course Brightwing has also got an AoE cleanse that may be absolutely important against an ETC here, or against the Sylvanas Wailing Arrow.
Oh, that's a pick I love, because he got buffed recently, and of course he's always been good at melting enemy high health pool tanks. So
yeah, well, let me tell you another magic ingredient of that is the fact that in what we saw in game number 2 there is the primary DPS for Shoryuken was Kael'thas, who's all spell damage. So now MMA pick the Brightwing, and she's great against spell damage because she's got that spell armor. But Tychus is doing a lot of percentage damage, and percentage damage doesn't care about that spell armor. And so Brightwing's going to have a much harder job saving people from the damage of Tychus and indeed and Sylvanas than she did saving people from that Kael'thas. So I think we're going to expect to see maybe more of a Zed kind of build from phase shift, maybe not going for the spell armor upgrade at 13, but instead going for the bonus healing instead. That might be the way they choose to play this. But we'll see as we go into game number 3, the decider in our final quarterfinal for today. And on the left, in blue, we have, of course, Shoryuken with Black Knight on ETC, Bannock on Sonya, Kaolo Rapano on Sylvanas, didn't die in the first game, Vash on Rhaegar, and Marinero on Tychus.
Going up against one last time in red chat. Give it up for Team MMA, also known as Mighty Minions Army, with Skrat on Orpheum, Merlin on the Brightwing, Boba Fett on Reyna, Omishashu on Throw, I probably butchered that, and Runefunk on Diablo. Right?
Yep. So on Indigo, Brightwing has gone for Bribe again. Talk to me about that, Shadow.
Do you know what? Brightwing is like, I'm a healer main, and Brightwing's in my top 3, I believe. And I don't pick Bribe talent that often, and especially on a map like that with not too many camps. It's just not, I don't feel like she's gonna get a lot of value out of it. Of course, it remains to be seen. But I don't know how to feel about it.
Well,
slightly negative, slightly pessimistic.
Let me say it like this. I mean, so absolutely, the camp on this map is absolutely important, and I would say it's more important than the boss. But
True.
There's two things. One is it's really easy for the team to just do it anyway with the DPS players, but also so you don't need to bribe in that sense. But also because it's a 3 mercenary camp, you need 3 bribe stacks to bribe it. So it's not like a siege camp on Cursed Hollow. Thing,
true.
Where you only need 2 stacks, and that uses a lot. It takes a long time to get 3 bribe stacks as a bribe.
True, it does, especially when you can't rotate between 2 lanes as a 4-man, And Reyna going down in the bottom. Tychus 1v1ing Marinero, 200 HP, more than enough there. Even spraying.
They both got their big weapons out, and Tychus found out that it was bigger.
Good old TVT on the bottom lane.
Love to see that stuff in the bot lane. So, yeah, so straight away, both teams prioritizing their siege camp, absolutely right. And we see, but that's why I think Brightwing is going towards Bribe, is because the value of those camps is so important. And Brightwing is thinking, well, when we're skirmishing of the objective, I can just go and bribe our camp.
Yeah.
We'll have a camp
Well, do you think maybe she wants to sneak the enemy team's camp?
Yes, potentially, but that's very risky, and it
could backfire very easily.
It could backfire very easily, and I suspect the blue team is going to be taking their camp as often as they can anyway. So that's why it's a little bit tough.
Aggressive play on ETC in the middle lane in the meantime. Black Knight will go down. The self-defense was good, but it wasn't good enough in the end.
Yeah, and of course, that Battalion is the real casualty of that fight, because that's dead 5 minutes instead of dead for 20 seconds, which is what ETC is. So nice little aggression there from the red team, punishes that ETC. And that's the thing, is if his slide is down, he can be vulnerable because he doesn't have the same level of escape. And maybe in that case, they can, as we saw there, turn him over by Diablo, slam him into a wall. And they've got a polymorph to follow as well. So we are going to see the full Q builds from Brightwing again as we go into level 5, leading up to level 6 here. And that's interesting for a number of reasons, but one of them is that can silence the mosh pit at level 16. Oh, lovely heal here from Brightwing, saves Thrall. Maybe they can turn this around onto Bannock Sonya? Maybe not, but Sonya will have to hard.
Yeah, she will be out of that fight, but you know who's not going to be out of that fight? ETC is going out the hard way, rather, back to base with him. And I wanted to talk about for a second about talents just before this went down, but of course the objective now is in control of MMA, and 30 seconds, that's not a long time. ETC is still dead. Do you think they can secure this, Karis?
I think the blue team will be back in time, but the question is whether the red team will be able to stall it long enough with fighting.
And level 7 is on the board as well.
Now, I think they might not be in time, but they do have a camp pushing. So if they can force and stall, that camp's going to start to get value. Sonya's on the way up, looking for a flank. Diablo's taking a bit of damage, but Raynor just trying to zone. The objective has gone over to the red team. Lovely little sidestep from Diablo. Dodges that slide that comes in from...
But he does not have Medallion. He's already used it. If ETC has another power slide, he does not, unfortunately. But Diablo goes back in, and now ETC really does have a power slide. But Brightwing is there to heal, and Bannock, the real... I was going to say the real victim of that fight, but he actually goes out 100 HP, just enough. Here are the Riders, though.
Yes, and that is where it's important. So, the camp has been cleared. Diablo's not on great HP. Brightwing does not have Zed for another 30 seconds. So, still potentially no save for her teammates. Thrall's pushing top, but there's 4 in the mid, and they want to get value on this mid. The reason they're going mid is because that controls the objective better. Diablo uses the turnover to get a bit of health back from his Feast on Fear. Yeah, but ETC gets punished as well. Look at the damage that's coming out from Boba Fett and Scrat. It's absolutely huge there from the 2 DPSs here on the side of MMA.
Yeah, very brave play from MMA there, especially Diablo tanking a few tower shots, just having everything calculated, just enough time to burst ETC and then be out before he gets in an injured. No forts have been claimed so far, but the first objective wave usually doesn't get that much value. However, the map is getting open up. All 3 walls, I want to say, are going to fall down for the blue team, which leaves, of course, MMA in position to chase kills, but boss is going on top lane.
Yeah, and that's a really nice pickup if the red team doesn't know about it, but they do. Thrall sniffed it out. Bribing has a Zed available, I think. Yes, Bribing... No, not for 15 seconds, actually. So Bribing can't Zed there in time, but Thrall's... Look at the damage that Thrall's doing here. Absolutely zoning him out. Rhaegar's now the one who's got to tank the boss. They're going to have to give this, but they can't let it... They haven't let it leash. Diablo goes hunting. Sylvanas with the medallion. Keeps herself alive. So this is going to be a steal. This is going to be a total steal here by the red team. Perfectly played there by Thrall. I love to see that kind of stuff from Omichashu on the Thrall. This is maybe one of the reasons why they've got such a high win rate. Just the sheer amount of threat they put in without committing to anything and force the enemy team to choose between focus Thrall, focus boss, or run away, and they ultimately choose run away.
Yeah, it's not exactly easy when the boss is hitting you, when Throw is like using Ancestral Rad and poking with W. It's like your health's going down and the boss is not dying, and you know who's dying is Tychus. Its self-defense was good enough, but the Diablo ultimate, I forgot the name of that, Apocalypse, there we go, confirms the kill on Tychus, and that boss is still marching on to the top lane.
Beautiful stuff from here from MMA. They're looking very confident in this game number 3. I wonder if Shoryuken have been a bit rattled by this kind of slightly surprising defeat in game number 2 in a sense that they were looking to control. Now Sonya in the bot lane, Thrall's chasing. Wants that kill, Sonya does escape. So it's now a full level lead for Mighty Minion Army in game number 3. They are also 1 fort up, and they've got a camp pushing in this mid lane onto the fort. Absolutely incredible stuff so far. Sylvanas should be able to clear this ETC with the zoning.
Yep, that camp is not going to confirm the fort, of course, but like you said, MMA is sitting at a very comfortable position in the game. 7 minutes in, 3 kills ahead of their opponents on a whole level. Reina has been doing a lot of poke damage. He's near second in siege damage, but hold that thought, Banak in a lot of trouble. The mosh pit is humongous, Karis.
That's okay. Fair play. That's a mosh pit. You don't see mosh pits like that every day. We did, of course, in game number 1 earlier on Coast Hollow from Full Madeira. That's an absolute. That's our second sensational mosh pit of the day. Get that in the clip lounge, ladies and gentlemen. Black Knight now slides in, looking for Reina. Boba Fett with the knockback keeps ETC fairly in danger there in the fort. The Diablo goes instead onto Sylvanas, trying to zone, trying to keep Reina alive. So Reina will live for now, and ETC has to waddle away. But already, what a turnaround there from Shoryuken with a great mosh pit.
Indeed, and in the meantime, Sonya has been so consistent that experience gap is closed along with the hero gap. Of course, once Sonya picks up that XP on top, they might even be a little ahead. Shoryuken, that is, they're picking up their own camp. So things are looking up for our team in blue, who had a rough early game, but then now they seem to have found their footing, so to speak, in this game.
Yeah, well, red camp has been picked up now as well with the help of 2 bribe stacks from Brightwing that were used, and 1 camp just cleared by Reina, who of course has that exterminator at level 1 to help him with the camp clear. And of course, Brightwing is now going to try and help clear this mid. Has the phase shift available, so can come to a fight and potentially soak just now and clear. But ETC stepping up. Reina's got to be careful here. Brightwing is thinking about phase shifting in as soon as Diablo gets engaged on. Diablo flanking, wants to create space, but the timer isn't even ticking yet. Diablo with the APOC catches onto 3, and Tiger's dodges out of it. Sorry, Sylvanas dodges out of it. Now the turnover. Diablo's still alive. Rhaegar's got to start running, but press the Bloodlust in time. Uses the Bloodlust to escape, but now the silence comes out onto Diablo. He's still alive though, catches onto Sonya. Sonya's gone down. Diablo though falls in response to the Odin. ETC with the slide, catches onto Thrall. Thrall will step away, but has a lot of self-healing. There's the ruse, catches onto 2. Doggy Dog World. They're going to catch onto Black Knight as well, maybe Shadow Rider.
Yeah, Throw, absolutely huge plays there in the backline. First winning the 1v1 against Sylvanas, then Vash retreating with Rhaegar to survive, getting in Throw's face, and then Throw still holding his own in a 1v2 situation, surviving all of that, and then landing the root that ended up confirming, I want to say, at least 1 kill. What a play from Throw.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful from this Thrall, and we're seeing now why that Thrall has got such a high win rate for Omichashu. So, with that, they're going to secure themselves the first 30 seconds of this objective fairly safely. The question is, can they contest with the remaining time? I think they're choosing not to, and they're saying, look, let's cut our losses. Maybe we even get a camp, but they haven't actually started the camp, and there's 7 seconds remaining. I think Sonya will be in time.
If they want to start it, they need to do that now. It seems like they want to go for a late contest, but they're just too late. Instead, they're going to be looking for a team fight. The HC comes in looking for a mosh pit. Nice cleanse on the Orpheus squad. He's going to walk out of there, and nothing happened, which is right now the best outcome for the red team, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean,
I
think the blue team was a bit indecisive about whether they wanted the camp or to contest the objective, and in the end, they ended up doing neither. And they then went for a fight after the objective had capped, which is risky because if you lose that fight, you potentially lose on the spot all your keeps or something. So,
and talking about losing structures, midford is gone. Black arrows are out for Sylvanas on extra damage to minions there once that wave crashes into the keep. So Diablo engages. Oh, Ozing gets to safety by the grace of the charge from Diablo there. Gets put behind the gate. What a lucky day to be Marinero.
Yeah, that's a nice little escape there from Odin, from Tychus within the Odin. Beautiful escape there, and that means there's no Apocalypse. And Apocalypse, bear in mind, is one of the key mosh pit interrupts here for the red team. So we may see an attempt at a mosh pit. Of course, they still have the Reina and the Orphea, but if they get caught in it, and the bribing as well, maybe that will be the way to turn this game around. Right now, though, go on, sorry.
Sonya's still top. She has been working diligently to clean that push, and she's just now coming to join her team. She picks up 16. No, she goes back to finish off top. Fair enough. Recognizing that MMA have backed off and there won't be a chance for a fight there with a Talenteer advantage. A fight that Shoryuken would very much like to get right now.
Yeah, well, if we take a look at the XP numbers here, Shadow, you'll see that actually Sonya has soaked 11.5k. That's 3k higher than the highest on MMA, and that's why they've got an XP lead despite having lost 2 objectives and 3 forts. So, you know, in terms of minion XP, they're 7k ahead overall. And even though they're behind on structures and passive, that's still giving them
a very ballsy boss play on top. Will go through unnoticed. Black Knight just seconds late to the party there with his team. Boss goes over to red team now, so could this be a second boss rotation, or?
I think they will. I mean, by the way, in the meantime, Bribing's just quietly doing the camp with the help of one of the bribes and a bit of Q.
Bribe value, finally.
Yeah. Bribing did go spell armor at 13, by the way. I guess that's more to deal with the kind of Sylvanas damage that's coming out and the Sonya spinning. Obviously, that's kind of a standard talent pick. I would have liked potentially though to see the bonus healing because it synergizes nicely with Blink Heal as well. You just give a little bit of extra healing on the Blink.
I don't think the second boss is as safe as MMA had assumed that it was going to be. This time the enemy team is there almost in time. No! Oh my god, that was very close.
To run punk.
Yeah, ETC overcommitting. The Earthquake goes out, and I think Banaka and Black Knight are in a bit of a trouble. The root comes out. There's the Apoc, absolutely disgusting Apocalypse from Diablo there, securing 2 kills in the end. Perhaps make that 3 with Sonya dead and a boss on bottom lane.
And a camp in mid, by the way.
Oh yeah, let's not forget about that.
All the meantime, the potential here to make that 2 camps with the help if they steal the siege camp away from their opponents. And then they can push mid with 2 camps, and with already what bottom keep maybe being down, they're threatening potentially game here with the camp. I think it won't be because I think ETC's back in time, but Sylvanas and Tychus have got to be so careful not to make a misstep here because it could be game on the spot if they get caught out.
If they stagger, that is, like you said, Sylvanas and Tychus, it will become a very dangerous situation. There's a big minion wave pushing top, but people are respawning on the blue side of the equation, and Bloodlust is still not used, so mid keep not necessarily gone.
They're looking, the Shoryuken want to fight. They know the boss can't end on its own. That's why they're trying to force mid, because they want to take this fight. They know they're down on structures. They're down now 4 structures, which means XP is going to start soaring in from the trickle in terms of bonus to MMA. That's going to turn into a level advantage or more very soon if Shoryuken don't do something about it. For example, by taking a fight right now at this objective.
This is the Hail Mary for Shoryuken if they want to get something done before the objective comes rolling through and you keep scroll down, and without the armor on your core disintegrates and you lose the game. So this is very much so a fight that Shoryuken need, and Marinero used Odin already knowing that his team is looking for a fight. Perhaps a bit too early, as the fight is nowhere as close as it seemed, though, just a moment ago.
I thought this was the right call from MMA to just run away, but Thrall's got boxed in. The Sonya's flanked him, absolutely found Thrall out. There's a counter APOC, but it's too little too late because Thrall's already dead. Diablo's going to get melted. The Minigun Bloodlust. Runfunk's just disappeared. His health bar has gone from 6k to 0 in literally no time at all. And Orphea's next to fall. Diablo's still alive technically, but has to run all the way back home. And that's going to be a free objective now, surely, going over to Shoryuken. Exactly the engage they needed. What a flank there from Sonya. Shut the door in Thrall's face. So he was sandwiched between ETC and Sonya. Got killed to death. And then the Bloodlust Tychus just secured the rest of that fight.
Yep, 2 kills, just the amount that Shoryuken needed. Now they're able to leave one person on the objective and secure the rest of their structures as 4. If they sniff out this crazy thing that MMA are doing, which is invading enemy camp with 3 members on the ground.
This is secret sneaky camp play. This is
not even bribe, dude. This is just
doing it by hand. That's 2 camps now going on this mid keep. If Sonya doesn't clear this sharpish, that keeps going down, and then that's a 2 keep.
I think it's gone anyways.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually, Shadow. I think they've secured yet another keep, and that means they're 2 keeps up despite having lost this objective.
Wow.
And they're rocketing themselves towards level 20, although so are Shoryuken, very close indeed, and there's a lot of soak for them to be had at the bot lane. That'll get them 20 at the same time, roughly, as MMA. So both teams are going to be getting that level 20, and when they do, it's going to be all about what value this cavalry can bring, but potentially not very much because it's still got 3 forts to get through, and in the top and bottom, it's still dealing with the minion shadow.
So Shoryuken gonna be looking for a fight once again, just after the last fight they were looking for, and they did win it, but rather the Berserker is still on cooldown. Of course, the big playmaking abilities are here. Odin comes through. Mosh Pit is also a danger. The objective is down to half HP, but the fort is quickly disintegrating, and top and bottom are slowly getting the push. So Shoryuken, they have an opportunity here to do something, and they know they have to get a pick. And in goes Black Knight looking for the power slide. Renfunk out of trouble for the time being. The objective goes down a minute, and this is the cue for the blue team to just retreat from that lane, I think.
Yeah, but the question is, what can they do? Because these cavalry have still got to go through forts, so potentially the red team can just go and defend at the fort. Thrall, though, got to be careful not to get split off from the team. There's a bit of miscommunication here on the red side. The bribing will phase shift in and keep all alive.
The ball.
Yeah, the counter APOC though onto Rhaegar, but there's no DPS to follow up on the APOC on Rhaegar. They're split completely here. They're now looking for ETC. Black Knight, but the death metal could go off here. If the clap goes off, will it go on to... It's 3 men death metal. They're catching on to 3. They're turning it around with the Tigers there. There's going to be an absolute massacre here. The Silence comes out from right wing. They might be able to get some kind of counter kill. No, I don't think so. It's just the ETC.
Diablo has respawned. He doesn't know. He's still in the base, but what can he do? Death metal is absolutely humongous. The keep is disabled by Sylvanas. Blue team, they have their own curse hollow objective right now with this Sylvanas. It's over now, however.
They've got to give this keep. I don't know why Diablo and Reyna are flirting with the opposition here. If they get picked off, it might be game on the spot. Reyna needs to just... I think they're keen to just not give away the keep for free, but when you've lost 3 members and your Diablo's got 0 souls, maybe it's time to accept the keep is dead. They can't go core. They can't go core because there's still 40 armor. The question is, can they get another keep potentially, or can they create some other opportunity on the map? Maybe the top boss, for example.
There's still 20 seconds on the death timers, and it looks like Shoryuken, they're looking for that bottom keep as well. They want to equalize the structures. Odin comes through, and this is a huge sieging ability. Sylvanas, Black Arrows should be coming off cooldown as well, and there is the Hyperion as a counter threat to that, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The keep is going to disintegrate. People are respawning on the red side of the map. Blue team, they're out of there. Shoryuken, they have disengaged. Marinero's still in the middle of that fight. He doesn't get rooted, however, and I think Sonya can walk out of there. The APOC comes through, however, Marinero is going to go down. What an engage by Diablo. Doesn't need any souls to pull that off, and a second kill goes down. Rhaegar not even able to use Bloodlust third with Sonya, and this is a disastrous retreat.
That's actually disgustingly good here from Mighty Minion Army. I thought that was just a free escape here for Shoryuken, but the Diablo was so ballsy, so aggressive, catching the combo onto the remaining members there, catching it onto the Rhaegar and the Tigers. And this may be game right now because it's core, and the core's only got 20 armor. This looks like game. But Mosh Pit is up, and there's one thing I've learned, Shadow, so far today. Don't discount a Mosh Pit. Don't discount the death metal as well. Black Knight's got to create space. He's got to find that Mosh Pit. It's got to be perfect here. Can he do it? There's the knockback, trying to create a bit of space, a bit of time, but Black Knight's still healing up. I don't think he has time for that, but Diablo has been zoned by that Wailing Arrow.
But the minions are coming, and you know that core is very low. The Mosh Pit probably going to come through anytime now, but no, he doesn't get bribing, so the Polymorph would instantaneously interrupt that. And I think the blue team have run out of options. People are responding, but the core is dead. It's a little too late. MMA are going to win the series in a reverse sweep 2-1. Wow.
GG, well played to Mighty Minion Army, who secure themselves the victory and get themselves into that first semi-final. Into that second semi-final of the day, which they will be going up against somebody later. I think we're still waiting to find out who that will be, but it is Black Hod's Booty Call who won 2-1 against Oopsie Daisy, and they'll be going against Mighty Minion Army later on this channel. But I mean, Shadow, what a sensational performance here from Mighty Minion Army. But again, you got to give credit to Shoryuken, the Mosh Pit, the death metal. I'll be honest, when I saw that death metal coming, and I could smell that ETC was hoping to die in the middle of it. And actually, you've got to look at those 20 fatalities. And I thought that was the moment when Mighty Minion Army might have lost the game. But that lovely aggression from Diablo and Thrall at the end, chasing, saying, no, Tigers, you're not getting out of here. I don't care if you've got an Odin. I'm coming. I'm the Lord of Terror, and you need to be terrified. And ultimately, that turned into...
terrified he was.
And that turned into a win. And indeed, that takes them through to the semi-final. So, I think with that, that's going to be all from us, Shadow. I mean, have you got any final thoughts before we head off?
I mean, it's been lovely casting with you once again, Karis. I loved getting the chance to do so, and it's been lovely seeing all of you in the chat. It's been exciting to cast those games, but what I'm more excited is about the games coming right up. I'm gonna get some food in the next hour, and I'm gonna be checking out the end of this Cup's finals, as we've got some very spicy games coming up, and of course, there are going to be casters taking our place over, right, Karis?
There are indeed. Is going to be Sergeant Johnny and Yosh. By the way, welcome to everyone who just joined from Heroes Lounge 2. You've just missed an absolutely insanely close quarterfinal between Shoryuken and MMA, and you can check out the VOD absolutely for that later on. But we will have, coming up in just a few minutes, the first of our semi-finals, which will be between Forum and Era and Chill Av Heroes, with casting by none other than Yosh and Sergeant Johnny. But from me and Shadow, that's going to be all for now. So thank you very much for watching us. Stay tuned. We'll be with Sergeant Johnny and Yosh will be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.